12 clone fragrances that you may have forgotten about. We're going to get into this list of clones that have been out for a little while in the proliferation over the last couple years of just amazing clones from Fragrance World and from Paris Corner and Lattafa, Armaf. Some of these are really under the radar now because they're just not the hotness, the new thing. So I'm going to tell you all about them. But before I do, remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Give the video an unforgettable click if you do. Give the like button an unforgettable click if you do like the video. And let me know in the comments, what is one of the clones maybe that you've had for a couple years that you would still really recommend to people? Okay, here we go. First up, I'm going to mention one that I still think is one of the best BR540 clones you can get your hand on. There are some significant differences between a lot of the BR540 clones in quality and longevity and accuracy. This one is a clone of BR540 X-Straight, and I'm talking about Al Haramain's Amir Al Oud Ruby edition. That beautiful red glass and that gold. This is such a powerful, strong, long-lasting fragrance. It's a 12-plus hour fragrance. It's a room filler, incredible sillage, scent bubble. I don't really go nose blind to this fragrance like a lot of people do. I'll smell it all day long whenever I wear it. Still a killer pickup if you like the X-Straight, that burnt almond accord, or I think it's the almond accord, or the burnt sugar kind of darker vibe. This one has that. Okay, next, this is one that was kind of the first like mainline clone of YSL Tuxedo. I'm talking about Mustache Oud Parfum. And it is a little bit of a twist on that DNA, like most clones pretty much are. This one's got maybe a little bit more of a green edge on the patchouli, and there's also maybe a touch more vanilla in this one than there is in Tuxedo, but it's still patchouli, vanilla, pepper, woods. It's still very much a Tuxedo-inspired, Tuxedo twist. It's a great fragrance, good performance. Man, I haven't worn it in a while because I've picked up other Tuxedo clones, but this one's still a great find, still very reasonably priced as well. Mustache Oud Parfum. It was a hype monster when it came out for very good reason. All right, this one's an ultra cheapie. If you can find this at the rack store, this is a 50 ml, and I think I paid either $12.99 or $14.99, very cheap. This one is a inspired by or a twist on L'Nuit de l'Homme, but it actually smells a lot like L'Nuit de l'Homme. This is just Guess Seductive Blue. A couple of my kids love this one, as you can see. It looks like they've been drinking it, but this one is a slightly more powdery take on that cardamom, lavender, ginger beauty that you get with L'Nuit de l'Homme. So again, it's a cheapie, but one worth picking up. Guess Seductive Homme Blue. All right. This next one is probably the first Fragrance World clone that I saw. I saw this one, and then there's a clone of another fragrance related to this one that I'll tell you about. But I would see it occasionally on Fragrance Buy for maybe a couple months. Then I saw a video about it, and I thought, that's it. I've got to get a hold of Starman Nebula by Fragrance World because it's a clone of the now discontinued Pure Malt, one of the Mugler Amen flankers, and it is such an amazing fragrance. I'll break this out and wear it about once a month, and every time I do, I think, man, I could wear this, every other day and not get tired of it. It is a sweet, spicy, sort of cinnamon forward, slightly boozy, quite aromatic, almost like modern barbershop kind of fragrance. It's got a little bit of that original Amen DNA. And I did see that Fragrance World, maybe before I saw this one, I saw their original Starman, and I knew it was a clone of Amen, but I've already got Amen and even a good clone of Amen that's really cheap. So anyway, super happy with this one, would recommend it, and it's actually been out a couple years now, which is pretty crazy to think about. All right, next up, I'll mention one that is from a house that doesn't get maybe the attention it used to because the Middle Eastern clones have exploded the way that they have. But this is still a great clone house with great fragrances, usually very accurate, very high quality, but fairly expensive when you compare them to a lot of the Middle Eastern clones. I'm talking about the House of Alexandria, and this one's a clone of a discontinued gem, which is C.H. Men Privé. It's a boozy leather fragrance. This is A Private Man, Alexandria's take on C.H. Privé. It's pretty accurate to me. I get a little bit of like a cola or root beer kind of vibe with this one. There's just something magical. I love C.H. Men. I have the original. I love it's sort of a, grassy, a little bit of saffron, a little bit of cardamom, leather fragrance. But this one adds a sweet booziness that just makes it very unique and stand apart from so many other things. A Private Man, a way that you can still get C.H. Privé without paying, $150 or $200 on eBay. Okay, next up, I'm going to go with this one here that actually came out before the fragrance that I'm going to mention. So you could say that one's a clone of this one, and many have said as much. This little cheapie right here, $15 fragrance, $20 fragrance, Mont Blanc Individuel, smells very similar to Creed's original Santal. And again, this one came out first. I think maybe a year and a half later, Creed came out with theirs. And they're not identical. The Creed is more complex. It's going to be higher quality. But you just get a whiff of them, and they are very close to being the same fragrance. So if you like raspberry and you like something very clean like fabric softener, that's exactly what this one smells like, Mont Blanc Individuel. Okay, next. Now this one I think has only been out for about a year and a half. It got hype, it blew up because it was cheap and interesting, but now it's been overshadowed by some other fragrances, and this one's easy to forget about. I'm talking about Lattafa Ijazi Intensive Silver, and it's been called a clone of La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique. And I don't know that it's necessarily a clone, but there's major similarities with La Nuit de l'Homme and Bleu Electrique because it does have ambroxan in it, but it's basically, a sweet, spicy cardamom, lavender, ginger fragrance with some extra added freshness. I'll tell you, I didn't like this one when I first got it, but it sat for a few months, and one of my son has worn it a lot. I bet this is about half used already. And after it sat a few months, the sillage and just the way the house would smell like this whenever he would wear it brought my attention back to it last year, and I thought, man, this is an awesome fragrance. So, Ijazi Intensive Silver, in the vein of La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique, and certainly also La Nuit de l'Homme. Okay, next up, this one is a very cheap clone of a fragrance that I still absolutely love. It's been out for, I think, 25 years or so, but I love it. It's so unique. It's so gorgeous, spicy, aromatic, sweet, interesting. The fragrance that it clones is Mugler Amen, a coffee, patchouli, milk and honey, mint, very aromatic, sweet, spicy fragrance. And this dirt cheap clone is a more synthetic smelling version of that fragrance, and they did a really good job with it. I'm talking about Cuba Prestige Classic. And all I mean is it's just not as complex. The quality is not to the level of Mugler, but if you smell this, I've done side by side with the Mugler. It smells like Amen. You can get the milk and the honey. You can get the patchouli. You can get the aromatics. You can get the coffee. It smells like Amen, just a less quality version of Amen. And I've worn the heck out of this. I mean, I got a lot of fragrances, and I've already put that dent in this bottle. So it's actually very much worth picking up. Okay, next. This one, again, has been out for a few years, but it's still a great pickup. It's powerful, long-lasting, very attractive, compliment magnet. It's a clone of Le Male Ultra Male, and of course I'm talking about this one right here, Afnan 9 p.m. The main difference is that Ultramall has a pear vanilla lavender combo, whereas this one has apple vanilla lavender. I think there's some mint in this one as well, but it's mostly fruity vanilla, very powerful fruity vanilla. And the apple and pear are so similar that this one does smell almost exactly like Ultramall. 9 p.m., a great pickup. All right, this next one, again, it's been out for a few years, and if you've been around fragrances and fragrance YouTube for long, you probably own this one because it's super cheap, and it is a little bit of a twist on Maison Martin Margiela's By the Fireplace. This is Lattafa's Amir Al Oud Intense, and it is basically a stronger, a more intense in every way, a more intense version of By the Fireplace. The woods are stronger. There's an oudiness that adds a stronger woods and also a little bit of kind of a funky sweetness. The spiciness is stronger in this one. So, you know, marshmallows and roasting marshmallows by the fireplace is kind of what this one smells like, but it's amped up. I heard somebody say this is like By the Fireplace on steroids. There is a little bit of an oudi funk to this one, just a little bit. Think like Lattafa Camera or something, that kind of a very palatable take on woods or oud. It's got some of that, but man, it's a strong fragrance, and the spiciness really starts to come out after a couple hours. It becomes very spicy, and I love that. Okay, this next one is another clone of, I can't believe that I've got 3 clones of the Mugler Amen line, but this one's a clone of another discontinued Amen fragrance. This one's a clone of Pure Havane, the tobacco, beautiful Amen flanker. This one is Rayan Traditions Insurrection 2 Wild. Look at the dent that I've put in this one. It's basically smoky pipe tobacco, cherry pipe tobacco with some chocolate, with some vanilla, with some cinnamon, some pepper. So it's got spices, sweetness, and tobacco, and a little bit of a cherry note. Such an absolutely gorgeous fragrance, and definitely one that I would recommend you check out, because these Rayan Tradition fragrances are usually pretty inexpensive, about 20 bucks. And then finally, I've got this one right here that is it's some would say a clone of a Bond Number 9 fragrance, but this one came out first. One of you let me know. Bond Number 9 New Harlem, which is kind of a, some people say like a pancake breakfast kind of a fragrance. Well, this one came out first, and there are real similarities. This is Michael Jordan Legend. Michael Jordan Legend. I think I paid $12.99 for this. It smells amazing. It literally smells like the leather from CH Men with sort of a gourmand pancakes and syrup kind of a vibe. There's vanilla. There's a good dose of sweetness. There is something that'll remind you a little bit of like, you know, butter or maple syrup or butterscotch. There's a touch of something like that with that vanilla, that leather. It's just such a gorgeous fragrance. And from what I understand, there's real similarities to Bond Number 9 New Harlem, Michael Jordan Legend. So that's actually been 12. These are clone fragrances, many of which are really cheap now because they've been out for so long. If any of them sound interesting, I'll try to leave links for the ones that I can down below the video. Let me know in the comments section what you would add to the list. Please consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like on the video if you got something out of it. I'm Justin, and this is Sillage Scents.